I just got to a point where enough was enough. I couldn't sit anymore, like in the house, couldn't sit in bed anymore. I got my head in my laptop and rang my doctor and I said, I need some help. And he said, it's great that you think you do, because by the way, my GP at the time obviously thought that this was panic disorder and anxiety and depression. I just didn't believe him. So I rang him back and said, I need help. And he said, great, I'm glad you said that, but you're gonna be waiting maybe 12 months. So I went online and just did every bit of research I could on how to get myself out of that mindset. And that's what I did. I found everything that I possibly could.
Techniques?
Yeah, everything.
Such as?
Mindfulness, just sitting still for 10 minutes and just focusing your mind. Realizing that it's a thought and it can go. It doesn't have to be there, it's only there because you're latching onto it. You can get rid of that thought. My diet was key. I stopped eating processed rubbish. I was eating fresh stuff. I was drinking a lot more water throughout the day. I was forcing it in so that I'd get it in. I stopped drinking coffee. And I started to push myself a little bit. A technique for me that was great. So at night I'd write down my life for the next day in 15-minute periods. So 8 till 8:50, and I'd get up, go to the kitchen, make a cup of tea.
Routine.
Yeah, that was the key point for me. But it was every 15-minute block for the whole day, so that I was constantly doing something.
And did those attacks ease then?
Yeah, massively. And I realised when they started coming, a lot easier.
And what kind of feelings did you anticipate?
I get quite a cloudy feeling in my brain, like brain fog, I suppose you can call it. You're not really aware of what's going on around you. Like I struggle with the word peripheral vision. It's like you can't see around you. I struggle with that sometimes, and just the cloudiness and lack of energy. And once you go with that thought, the energy just keeps sapping out of you and you really struggle to get past that moment. So I give myself time. I don't force myself to do anything that I don't need to do. If it's gonna get in the way.
How difficult was it as a man, as well as a young man, to talk about this?
The hardest part for me was my mates and the WhatsApp group. I started with that. I didn't just go straight into Facebook. I started with my group of mates. And I said, look, I'm sorry that I've lied about this for 8 months. Because they thought I was just being lazy. They just thought I was being, the lazy one, and I wasn't. I just couldn't do it.
And their reaction?
They were just like, why didn't you tell us sooner? Like, we could have helped. I just didn't know what to say. I didn't understand it. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't want to look weak in front of all the lads.
What would you say to someone in your situation, men, now? Somebody who perhaps has experienced the same, and that there's still stigmas attached to this?
Yeah, there's massive stigma. We're miles away from getting that eradicated. But for me, that was a really key turning point. It was just opening up and letting it out of my head. Just getting it on a piece of paper, getting it on my WhatsApp group, and just understanding that it's out there now. I don't have to hold on to it.
You spoke on social media, and obviously that generated quite a response, but how difficult was that to actually go public, to talk about it?
I was 26 at the time, very heavily involved in football, fit. I thought I would have been a really good person to open up about it. That's why I did it, because I knew how much it helped me to open up. And I thought people might understand it a little bit better if I speak, being the age I was, being in a sport. I just thought I'd see if it would make a difference to anyone. And yeah, it went everywhere. I was getting phone calls from all corners of the earth. It really threw me back. Initially, the day that I did it, I must have got 200 private messages, literally talking about their life and what they dealt with. These are people my age that I had no idea about. And I was just so overwhelmed with the amount of people that struggle.
And how does that make you feel, the fact that, hang on, there are so many others who are struggling here, some similarities, some differences, but there are others, that you're not alone?
I think it eases the mind massively. for anybody that has that conversation. Because when you're in that moment, certainly me, when I was in that moment, I thought I was the worst in the world. I thought I had the worst case of it in the world. If this is what it was, nobody could have been worse than me at that point. When I did talk and I heard somebody else say at that moment, well, I've dealt with this, it literally just felt like a little weight. And then the more I spoke, the more I listened to other people, the more I understood it. I think you get so much more knowledge from people that deal with the situation or have dealt with the situation than I would from maybe a professional that had been to university. I just felt that for me, that was the right connection that I needed, was to speak to people. But from that point, I knew that we could help people if we started talking a little bit more.
And you say we, I soon became we in terms of you decided to do something about it and set up an initiative.
Yeah. I'd got out of the place that I was in from doing the techniques that I'd learned. And they were only simple techniques that I found online. I just didn't know where to look at the time. I didn't know who to ask or who to talk to. So I thought, if I can get out of that moment of being so close to doing something that I would have regretted, then I'm sure we can help other people get out of that moment. So we need to try and do something, because I was still on a 12-month waiting list at this point to see somebody professionally. So the help wasn't really there. So yeah, I got a few people together and said, can we do this for a start? Because I didn't know if it was possible. They said, yeah. I said, can we do this right now then? They said, yeah, if you like to. And yeah, it all blew up and we did it straight away.
REACH IoM was formed. How's it helping others now, a couple of years on?
We work in schools with younger people on the island, so we give them a platform to come in and just have an open chat about things, whether it be home life, whether it be anxieties around school, being in big places. We're going through a pandemic. I couldn't even imagine that while I was in school, how I would have dealt with it. So just giving them the platform to just come and have that conversation is huge, and teaching them, the physical and mental health side of it, and how much you need to look after both as you grow up. I think in schools you get taught a lot of maths and English, but you don't get taught how to deal with life, I suppose. How do you deal with bereavement? You don't get taught how to deal with that. How do you deal if you get a huge stress in your life? You don't get taught how to deal with that. I think you're just taught to get on with it. Whereas maybe with us being in schools, we can teach people how to deal with that.
How's it still helping yourself?
I don't think there's any money in the world that can compare to the feeling that you get from when you help somebody out of a really dark moment. I genuinely believe that as well. That feeling that you get myself is incredible. And I've just got a person out of, where they were.
What would you say to men then, particularly age 40 and under, who are experiencing difficulties?
I'd say we go to the gym to look after our physical health. We go to the gym to make ourselves look good physically, to make our body bigger, stronger. What do we do for our mental health? This up there is a thing that we don't really know anything about. Not even doctors can work it out, how powerful it really is. So what are we doing to actually try and train it, to look after it? I think that's what I'd say to them. And I'd make them understand that there is things you can do to look after it. You don't just have to get through things and put them to the back. I think you can just deal with them things there and then, mentally.
And how can perhaps someone who's watching this, get in touch with REACH?
So we're on social media, all social media platforms. We've got a website, REACH IoM.co.uk. You can get us there. Our numbers are all there as well. And yeah, if you're in school, then I'm sure we'll be in a school that you're in. So, come and give us a shout. It's an easy conversation, it really is. I know it seems so overwhelming at the time, but once you've had that one conversation and you can start to see a path forward, it's huge. So please do just try and reach out.